Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to sit down with Luke Strader, who is an account representative for RTS. And RTS is one of the major factoring companies that do a lot of the freight factoring. There's so much to factoring. There's so much to understanding how it works. Factoring is the backbone of your business. It's the cash flow and the back office. And so this is just a really important conversation, but I wanted to take the time before the actual video to let you know that this one's going to be a long one. I generally try to keep my videos around 10 minutes, but I didn't want to release this in two parts. I wanted you to be able to pause it and watch it at your leisure without waiting a couple days for the next part. I really hate that when people do that. They're like, oh, stay tuned for part two. No, I want you to be able to take all of this in and figure out what's useful to you. We're just going to have a candid conversation about what people should expect when they start a new factoring relationship and how to navigate the factoring system. And so I know it's a lot to ask for you to take 30 minutes of your life or 33 minutes or whatever the length of the video is and watch me talk to somebody else, but I really think it's important. And so if you're serious about the trucking business, I think you can learn something from our interaction here. Check the description and I'm going to leave a link to where you can fill out a web form and Luke will reach out to you and talk to you about potentially factoring your own company. But it's super important. They handle all the back office stuff. They make sure that you have next day payments on loads that you factor with them and keep your cash flow so that they keep your business running. They also provide a fuel card where you can basically use that to build your business credit and also take care of the fuel, on a week-to-week basis so that you don't have to come out of pocket for it. And so it's just really important. There's a lot that a factoring company can do for you. It's not for everybody, and I don't want to make it seem like it is for everybody, but I just wanted to make sure that I put this out there. And I want to tell you up front, look, this is a long video, so I don't want you to be 5 minutes in and be like, is he going to get to anything important? So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. It's going to be awesome. So without further ado, we're going to switch over and watch the conversation that I had a couple weeks ago with Luke Strader from RTS. Thanks, guys. So what I want to do, I just want to be raw about some stuff, man. Like there are things that I wish I'd known up front about factoring. And one of them is I wish I'd known my place in the business. Like I'll be honest with you, and I haven't told you this, but the reason I stayed with RTS is because you were willing to check me when I was wrong. And because now again, you weren't like telling me I was wrong, but when I had the self-awareness to ask you whether you thought I was being unreasonable, you were straight with me. And,
for sure.
And I found out this as soon as I learned how to do it the right way, I didn't have any more problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the Built on Boxes YouTube channel. I'm James White. I am the trucking lawyer. I'm with Luke Strader, who is with RTS, but Luke's got a pretty substantial background in the freight business. We've had some pretty good conversations before I ever really signed up or got started. But Luke, just introduce yourself. Tell us what your background is and what you do for RTS.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been in trucking since 2004. Started in high school in the loading docks at Old Dominion. Worked my way up there. Worked in brokerage at Old Dominion. Was in outside sales for several LTL carriers, including R&L and OD as well. Came over here a few years ago on the factoring side. Dad was a truck driver, so I've been around it my whole life, 16, 17 years worth of industry experience, whether it's asset-based or brokerage side. So that's my background in the industry.
That's valuable, as it was especially valuable for me. Well, and you know how this works, man. Not everybody knows how to talk to people. You're one of those people who know how to talk to people. You know how to talk to people when they're upset. You got this thing where you can talk to people and de-escalate, and it's good. It works. And you also know what you're talking about. And you can tell within a little bit of time that you're competent, you know what you're talking about. And I like the fact that you're a straight shooter. What do you wish that people, well, first of all, let's demystify factoring. What exactly, if you were to wrap it up and put a bow on it, I know there's a lot to it. What is factoring for somebody that doesn't know a thing about it?
Essentially, factoring is we're your back office support. We're going to create invoices for you. We're going to track your paperwork. We're going to provide you with technology to get you paid next day and handle that paperwork. So as a small business owner, maybe one or two trucks, we get you paid next day, whereas standard brokerage pay is 35 days, and it's actually kind of going the opposite way right now. Some guys are sliding more to 45, and that's what we provide is we get you cash flow so you can either grow your fleet, pay the insurance, because that's never stopping. Your insurance payments are coming monthly, truck payments are coming, or whether you're leasing or renting or buying, we get you the capital. So as a new authority, that first 90-day window is super critical for everybody, because your first loads you're hauling for these guys, everything is under a microscope, and we want to step in and provide you every tool we can to get you successful those first 90 days to grow your business.
What would you say is the biggest problem that you see specifically with people making the mastering the learning curve or navigating the learning curve with a factoring company?
The biggest issue we see early on for guys coming into the factoring world is the paperwork. If you're unfamiliar with that process, from our side, how I look at it is if we're looking at pictures of a picture and we have to get with a broker and they have to verify that, that is the most difficult thing for anybody to get used to. If we can see a Diet Mountain Dew bottle in the background or anything like that, it's going to be something where the broker will deny it, like flat out. And then that creates a whole other issue for you. And that's kind of why we're pretty tough with new authorities and newer companies coming in on the first like 30 days worth of paperwork, because we're loaning you money essentially, and the brokers are going to be as difficult. And what we look at from our side right now too is every broker is behind. C.H. Robinson, Landstar, TQL, the amount of setups they're doing right now, the industry is, everyone is lagging behind. So we're going to be a little more critical on paperwork starting out for that reason, because the last thing we want you to do is accept something and then the broker says no. The biggest thing that you did, James, that not a lot of people do is you ask the questions. Most people either won't pick up the phone and call and they'll get mad about something, or they'll try to email. Ask the questions. I like you said, I want to be a resource. I want to help you grow your business. This is your business. And I will be straightforward. I will be honest with you. If expectations are a little high or whatever they need to be, I'll be brutally honest with people. I want to use my relationships in the industry to help you understand that, hey, it's not easy, but we can help you grow your company for sure.
And if people aren't smart enough to recognize, or if people don't have the wherewithal or the awareness to recognize that they're making a mistake, there's really not anything you can do. You can just let them, we came to a crossroads with some paperwork stuff that I was having a problem with. And in hindsight, it wasn't anything other than me. It was me not understanding how critical it is that everything be perfect. Because to be honest with you, what I thought was these guys are behind. They just don't want to do it. And that's not it. I haven't told you this, but I got a kickback from one of the brokers on one of my invoices. And it was one of the first ones. It was denied for legibility. And you guys ended up finally accepting it. And then the broker kicked it back to me. When I saw that, I thought, okay, that just reinforces that I was just being unreasonable about what I expected. Because if these guys have any reason to deny your money, they're going to buy themselves a couple more weeks or whatever. As a broker, I'm talking. Plus, if you scan something through multiple layers, like you said, you're looking at a picture of a picture of a picture, that degrades every single time that you send it through. And so I actually
100%.
saw on the back end that I got the reason for why it had to be perfect, or as close to perfect as possible.
Yeah. And I know that, and you can vouch for this too. A lot of people don't realize a bill of lading is a contract. It's a contract between a shipper and a consignee. So if there's a claim on that load, if there's any dispute, if there's something listed wrong, which another thing we could talk about later is when people file their names incorrectly on the FMCSA, the legality issues that come into that with a claim are tremendous. And that's why the paperwork vetting is such a difficult process. Because if TQL, for instance, has a claim on a load that you factored, they can hold every invoice for you moving forward until the claim is solved. And that's why we're so proactive, because there's a whole lot of stuff that happens with these brokers that if they deny a load, it could be as simple as that, the corner is cut off. And these big brokers are factoring billions of dollars a year. Not loaning money out, just on a whim. It's got to be real. And fraud, unfortunately, is real in this in any industry, but definitely in trucking. And they're pretty particular. The big boys are pretty particular about how the paperwork must come through to them. Cam scanner, there are tools out there that you can use to crop. You can increase the shading, eliminate that background stuff so you can upload it as a PDF instead of an iPhone picture or something like that as well.
When you said earlier, or a few seconds ago, you said, is there if a TQL has a claim, under what circumstances would a broker have a claim on a load that could complicate things on the back end?
Yeah, so if a load is delivered short, say there was 25 pallets on the bill of lading, but only 24 delivered, they can file a claim based on that. If there's damages to the load that are delivered, let's say you had to slam on brakes and the load shifts and hits the wall, the trailer, and something's damaged. Depends on what you're hauling, obviously, but they can file a claim on that. And it could be as simple as $300, or depending on the value of the load, it could be several thousand. And that can really hold up anything moving forward with some of these brokers. And with claims, obviously, you as a carrier have to deal directly with them on the claim issues. But, making sure that bill lading is signed free and clear is a huge protection for you as a carrier. Because if consignee signs a load delivered, it's going to be hard for a shipper to go in the court of law and say, hey, this was damaged, but it's signed clear.
Sure, absolutely. Because essentially you're getting into Article too, which, you know, is a rabbit hole that we won't go down. But essentially, you have a certain period of time to inspect or reject loads. You know, you really don't realize how much law there is attached to being in the trucking business, specifically dispatching, because I see a bunch of problems that just make my lawyer brain explode when it comes to dispatchers and the way they conduct themselves in the agency arrangement. Now, do you guys factor for dispatchers too, or how does that?
We will have a carrier sign what's called a signature authorization agreement, meaning that the carrier grants a dispatcher permission to use their RTS Pro access to upload on that carrier's specific behalf.
Okay.
But we don't deal directly with dispatchers. There's a ton of them out there. Some are reputable and some are not. I always tell people to look for anybody that's driven in the past. If they're new, have they taken a dispatching course? Because there's a lot of people that say they're dispatchers, but they're calling off the same load boards you as a carrier would call off of.
Right.
So if they don't have access to freight or contacts that can help them, you're paying 8% or 10% to somebody that may not be worth it. There are brokers that will tell you, I won't work with the new authority, which is a lie. You know that more than anybody. I've seen how successful you've been your first 90 days. And dispatchers will help sort through that. But yeah, we will work with the dispatcher if they're attached to you as a new carrier.
That's awesome. We've never talked about it, but I think that the agency relationship when it comes to dispatching is so mishandled in the freight industry. If some of these people that I've seen on the internet were representing my company, I would lose my mind. And you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
I do enough damage to my own company. I don't want somebody else doing damage to my company. You know what I mean? At least I can just get mad at me. I don't have to worry about being mad at them.
And it's a good thing to protect your company. This industry can chew you up and spit you out in a heartbeat. A lot of people come in with really good intentions and I see them taken advantage of all the time. And a lot of that comes back to something we always go over is our broker credit check system. New dispatchers the same as new brokers. It doesn't take much for a broker to get a good credit rating just on a Dun & Bradstreet. But our credit check system has over 20 years of experience with it. They're not approved in our system. Somebody that's been around 20 years, we look at a bunch of things. And same with dispatchers. If they don't have a website or some kind of page or other references, other clients of theirs, you should ask that question. Do you have clients of yours that have the same equipment type or same region that I'm running in? Because if you're in California calling somebody in Georgia, is that going to be a good fit? What if they want to go to bed at 7:00 at night and it's only 4:00 out west? Are you going to find a load?
That was a good point that I never really even thought about because I don't mess with dispatchers too much. There are some really good dispatchers. I don't mean to disparage them.
For sure.
But the load boards for what I see get hopping about 8:30 in the morning. If it's 5:30 in California and they don't know whether you can take a load today, that's a problem. By the time you get up and get your coffee and get your misery adjusted for the day, you may not have made any opportunities.
Absolutely. Left. Yeah, the world runs on East Coast trucking time. Even here Central time, I come in the office usually between 7 and 8 Central, but I get emails at 6:45, 6:30 because they're up at 7:30 Central time or Eastern time, and we understand our operation runs on bank hours, but people are dropping loads off at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they have questions. So that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah. Did you hear him, guys? He's a banker. Don't call him after 4:00. No, you've talked to me probably from home. You've called me at all hours. And that's one thing I noticed. You were talking about email. A lot of tone and intention gets lost in text. And one thing I noticed about you up front is that you would prefer to talk on the phone. You never said that to me. It's just that if I had a question, you called about stuff. When you really kind of held my hand through the beginning stages of this. And I could never tell you how much I appreciate that because it's made a huge difference in my business.
Well, thank you for that. And I guess being in sales, I've been in dispatching, I've been in operations. My dad's a driver. It's much easier to talk through the process. It may seem complicated, especially as a new company coming in, what we're asking of you. And trucking is a second language. There's jargon, there's terms, everything kind of sounds a little bit different if you're new to the industry. The last thing I want you to do is be mad over something that we can control and fix. If it's out of my control or something I can't do, I want to be able to tell you that to your face. I don't want to have to, nobody wants an email or a text with that information in there.
Right, of course. Well, and one thing I've noticed about this is that when you think you've got it sort of figured out, it's like digging a hole to China, man. Like it's just layer after layer after layer. And when you think, okay, how much more complicated can this get? It really is an overwhelming, if you really want to learn everything from regulations to compliance to just getting started to how to, it is so much information.
Oh, and it sounds as simple as like picking up and delivering freight. Don't get me wrong. The prospect of what trucking is will always be you have to pick up and deliver freight damage free. The bigger you get, the more complicated it becomes. A lot of people come into the industry with grand goals, and you can make a lot of money in this industry. We factor with clients that have 1 truck or factor with clients that have 400 trucks. We see it all, but the regulations will only increase what you do as far as, providing law, assistance and from a lawyer prospect is great. because there are a lot of people that don't understand a lot of what they're being asked to do is either not something us as a factoring client is requiring, or your broker or dispatcher are requiring. It's federal law, and there are big time regulations that go into effect with transportation.
I've gotten my business to where we basically haul for TQL or Coyote. And now that we've switched to semis, and you and I both know that people do box trucks because it seems simple, but there are layers of complexity that make the freight business a lot harder when you're doing non-CDL, especially if everybody's trying to do it. And this will be a good segue into the rumor about box trucks too here in just a second. But one thing that is great about RTS is that you have a credit check system that allows you to have the peace of mind of just running for a few people that you trust without actually just keeping your broker relationships minimal. You can, as long as they pass with a C or above through RTS's credit check system, they're pretty safe, right?
Very safe. We're doing, millions of dollars a day on our factoring side here. So it's not like these are one-offs or two-offs where the credit check system comes from. And you as a client have access to that credit check system. If you click on their rating, you're going to see their rating. You're going to see their last 30 and 60, 90 days to pay. So you're going to be able to look at the same information we are to vet that and say, hey, the reason they're now to C is because the last 30 days they've dropped to 44 days as opposed to 34. I would tell any customer as they grow and evolve that you need to start diversifying more. As a broker in my past life, I would tell you, if you're hauling the same load for me every week, the rate's going to start to get skinnier. And that's just because I want to make more margin as a broker. And that's going to be something that happens to every company. So if you start to diversify and provide a good service, more and more brokers will work with you. Your rates are going to go up. Diversification is a huge thing, because once you get past that window, start adding trucks. You want to haul for as many people as you can, because if something happens with any given broker, you don't want to be left holding the bag. And you can diversify pretty quickly. And we want you to haul for as many people as you guys want to be.
There are so many people out there that have good credit with you guys that there shouldn't be a tiny universe of places where you can get freight. But assuming that a person wants to haul for a broker that's not there, you guys will even do all the back office work. You just won't fund the money up front, right?
Correct. We will still generate the invoice for you, send that to the broker. When the collection effort is paid into RTS from that broker, it deposits through to your account. It's straight pass through. So that option is there. If you're stranded somewhere and have to take a load to get home and you're comfortable kind of taking the risk, we will 100% we will help you with that. We're not going to come to you and say you can't take that load, because that's not who we are. We're still a family-owned company, and know that 99% of trucking companies are between 1 and 3 trucks. So it's not like you have, a billion options at your disposal. You're not UPS or FedEx that can survive a weekend without taking a load home. If you need to take it, we can help you with it.
When I wrap up, I'm going to explain why I trust RTS, but I'm not going to tell other people that that's what they should do. They have to decide how this stuff fits into their life. Some people don't believe in factoring at all, and that's great. If you can bankroll your own business, that's fine. But why should a person choose RTS over not necessarily a bigger company like OTR? Because you can figure out what the differences are. But what about a small company, and what should people look out for, and why would they choose a bigger company like RTS?
The biggest thing for us is the industry experience. I mean, we have been around as a company, the Ryan Transportation Group, 30 years. Started as a brokerage, and the need for factoring came out of the brothers that own the company saying, hey, what do trucking companies need? They need a fuel platform, which we provide, and a factoring platform. They need to get paid faster. And our technology platform is really going to separate us from anybody else. Our operations team here at RTS speaks over 30 different languages. We work with people that only speak different languages. Our software add-ons that can help you when you grow, we have that technology. And then ethically, like I said, we're not a bank. We're a family-owned company. So we're not going to file a lien against your company off an application. We're not going to lie about our rates. It's a very straightforward. Everything is presented as a matter of fact. And in myself, I'm not here to lie to you. I know what my dad went through as a truck driver. I know how hard it is. Trucking is the backbone of this nation. We want to provide you the capital that you need to grow your business.
Can you explain the difference between recourse and non-recourse factoring for people that might be curious?
For sure. Yeah, standard recourse terms are RTS or any factoring company has 90 days to collect the money. After a 90-day term, it goes out to whether you're a client or whoever. If the load is paid in after that 90-day mark, the money still gets deposited. But if there was $1,000 on that load that we advance, and after 90 days, a factoring company is going to withhold the money until it's recouped. So it could be from an X upload or an X couple. And that's standard practice. That's usually standard industry agreement terms for anybody. Our protection is our credit check system, which you've talked about. The odds of a company just simply not paying a bill, it's very little. What it's used as is a scare tactic by a lot of factoring companies to sell you a higher factor because they're going to make more money off of something. It's selling flood insurance to somebody that lives in the desert.
Yeah.
Now, a non-recourse agreement, you are protected in case the broker you were hauling for files for bankruptcy. And that's as straightforward and simple as it can be. We offer both. I'm not here to sell you a higher rate on one versus the other because we trust our credit checks. And that's where we fall on that line. If you're hauling for good brokers, they're going to pay their bills.
No, just for people who don't really understand, we've made reference to it a couple times, but inside the RTS app, it's called RTS Pro. It's a great app. The thing that I think is beautiful is that you actually can simplify the owner-operator experience. If you were driving and you were dispatching yourself, as difficult as that is, it's made simpler by that app because you can find fuel stations that will accept your fuel card and you can check credit ratings for a broker on the fly. So let's play this out in how it actually works. So if you get on the DAT load board, you'll say Total Quality Logistics has a load from Knoxville, Tennessee for $800. You can click on that load and you can see the MC number associated with the broker. You can either use on the RTS Pro app, you can open up the RTS Pro app, and in the section that says credit, there's a tab that says credit, and you can click on that, and you can either use the company name, the MC number, or the DOT number. Just about any way you can find a way to look up a company, you can find out whether that company pays their bills and whether they're safe to do business with in seconds so that you can make that decision fast enough for the freight to be there when you're ready to take it.
Absolutely. It's a very simple process. If they're not set up with us, that days to pay system is essentially going to tell you.
Right.
And if there's ever a question, email me or your operations team and say, hey, why is this guy got this rating? And we will actually help smaller brokerages if they are not approved but want to get set up. We can send them a carrier packet for that, and they can deal with our credit department to get set up as a carrier. It takes them about 30 days, but it's a process that they want access to RTS clients. They can go through that process too.
If you get on the app, you find out if they're good to go, and that if you take that load and get the rate con to these guys at RTS, you're going to get paid 24 hours after you upload it, so long as you get it uploaded before 12 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, usually for us, any delay in payment is going to be the first invoice with what we consider a very large broker. So your CH Robinsons, TQLs, Landstars, they're going to verify what's called a notice of assignment. So every factoring company, doesn't matter if you work with RTS or anybody else, you're going to get a notice of assignment, which tells the broker to send payments for loads to us. And it takes them about 3 days to verify that on your first loads you do with those big brokers. After that, it's the 24-hour turnaround. But these big brokers, we have calls with them twice a week to kind of go through that process and say, hey, here are the 100 we set up or whatever it is. And they have to verify those with us. And it takes some time.
And that was a frustration on my part because we talked about asking the questions. That's a question that I don't think anybody would think to ask. I didn't ask it. And, but now here's one thing that I know that you can do to protect yourself. There are going to be people that you sign. There's a list going around on some of the box truck groups that gives you a list of people that work with you in those 90 days. Guys, when you set up your carrier packet with those people, go ahead and send them a notice of assignment. That way they already have it on file. They've already got it into your account. And when RTS sends them the information, they already know who you are, who you're working with, and all that stuff. And you can bypass that part of it.
Yeah, the biggest thing I would tell any new authority is to have your own carrier packet. I see a lot of people that struggle with that. You need to have your articles, copy of your W-9, certificate of insurance. Every broker is going to ask for the same 6 things that a factoring application will.
Sure.
So if you sign with a factoring company, put that notice of assignment in there so you have it on you at all times. We do email a copy of it so you can have it saved on your desktop or phone or whatever as well.
People that don't have, say, that have less than perfect credit, how does that impact their ability to factor with RTS? Or
it doesn't. Occasionally, if credit, let's say below 550 or 560, we may have to look at a higher rate. Everything is circumstantial. If your credit's low, but it's all medical bills or, student loan debt, we take a look at some stuff to verify that, hey, this, you're not past due on your house or something. Everything is circumstantial. We want to look at everything and be reasonable about it. We just don't blanket rate here. That we want to take into consideration that if you have student loan debt, but your monthly payment is X. We know what one truck can do right now. It's, we understand the risk. And we take that into consideration for every deal. Every deal, I sit in an office with 10 guys and everyone looks at something differently and we all talk about things and stuff like that. But it's not going to deter us away from factoring. The only issue, we could potentially run into is tax liens. Federal tax liens can be very difficult. Again, it's case by case.
So you really just look at things that, and for anybody who doesn't know, federal tax lien, well, it's a rabbit hole, another legal rabbit hole, but basically you have something called secured transactions. And the secured transactions tells essentially the court who has priority. And a federal tax lien has priority over just about everything. Because the government, the federal government was going to get their money. So there are things you can't write off of bankruptcy. There are student loans, child support, and federal tax liens. A lot of times you can't discharge them. They have priority over just about everything.
They do.
So that's why they don't want to loan you money on a federal tax lien, because you find yourself in a situation where the court has to decide who's going to get the money from the sale of your assets. It's not going to be RTS if there's a federal tax lien.
Yeah, the IRS is always going to win. And we're seeing the same thing with the SBA loans. So a lot of, we have seen quite a few people take the SBA loans out. There is a workaround for that. It is lengthy and time consuming because the IRS has completely changed the way that process was done. And if you do have one, no, it doesn't kill a deal, but no, we're going to have to work around it and to be upfront about it. I don't care what the amount is or, how it was done. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Last year was craziest years I've ever been a part of. But know that the IRS has restrictions and we can work with it with factoring clients. And I have clients that have SBA loans. So the IRS, it's literally the steps change about every 2 weeks on us. So if you do have one, be upfront with it from the application stage and just say, hey, we can start the process a little sooner, but it takes some time, but we can work through that.
That's important because a lot of people are getting PPP loans and SBA loans, and there are all kinds of different ways that people are capitalizing their business now. And it's important that that those are conversations you need to have up front with anybody that's going to factor for you, whether it's RTS or anybody else.
Yeah, the IRS on these SBA loans is filing a UCC, which puts them in first position.
Yeah, and a UCC is a way to record your lien so that commercial lenders and that kind of thing can see who has priority and who has a lien. And it's a recording requirement if you expect to have priority in court.
Correct.
So it's just a form that if your mortgage will have. Your car loan probably won't, but your mortgage will. Obviously, we've talked about this a little bit informally, but there's a rumor going around that RTS is no longer factoring for box trucks. Can you clear that up and tell me where you think it originated from and what you think it's related to?
The biggest issue we've seen on the box side is what a lot of people in the industry would consider spot factoring. They're hauling direct with Amazon. They're only uploading, $1,100 a month or whatever. And there's just a point at which we as a company looked at the market and said, hey, that's not something we're comfortable with doing. Now, can you work with Amazon and can we help you with that? 100%. We look at, anywhere about $10,000 a month is something we're looking for. So I don't know where it started. It's not something we're saying no. We just, we want to help you grow a business, and relying on RTS for $1,400 a month may not be the best fit. I will refer you or anybody to a few carriers that are set up perfectly for something like that. That's not a problem, and we will help you with that process. But we want to work with people that are full-time committed to working with RTS as well.
So it's entirely possible that the person who started putting out this information called RTS and said, I plan to haul solely for Amazon, and I don't know how much I'm going to get. And RTS just said, well, it doesn't sound like you're going to be doing enough business to where you really need a factoring, especially when Amazon pays net 7. So
for sure, and we do. And honestly, I work with clients that we factor Amazon for. The biggest thing I see right now is that Amazon's rates are not quite what the industries are. So a lot of people are actually moving away from Amazon. Whatever we can do to assist, but we're going to ask tougher questions, just because we want to be as upfront, honest about it moving forward. Some people, we're not all, built the same. So some people don't want to work with a boxer. They may get a rep that just says, hey, this is not something I'm comfortable with. And that's, as a sales rep, that's internal. I will vet every deal. And if I don't, I've turned some people away that have said, hey, I want to haul Amazon locally. It's just not going to be a fit. James, how long it takes to kind of move through the process to get set up. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of time. If it's just not a good fit, hey, it's not a good fit. I'll refer you to people or you can deal with Amazon direct. We understand that for sure.
So you're much more likely to be turned away by RTS if you're either being shady about the things you're telling, or you're not willing to disclose the things about where you're getting your money or your SBA loan or your PPP, or it just feels like it's not going to be a beneficial relationship to both parties. RTS has the discretion to just say, and each individual rep is empowered to do that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a business. We want to grow our company the same as you want to grow yours. And it's a lot of work to get set up anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's us or, you setting up your authority. And if, you want to haul specific loads or stay local, hey, that's fine. I'm not concerned. We'll still set you up on fuel. We've got a killer fuel platform. I mean, the cards are great. The discounts are only increasing. Maybe factoring's not a fit right now. Maybe 6 months from now it is. We see equipment
Yeah.
change all the time. People are growing their fleets. Now, if you got 3 trucks running over the road, it might be a real good fit. So we take everything as case by case here. You know, we're not a blanket no to anything.
Yeah. So just to answer the question, RTS does not say specifically no to box trucks or any one thing at all. It's all relative.
For sure.
And
that's correct.
And I will say, you guys do have a phenomenal fuel platform. It still hurts every time that $1,300 a week hits the bank account. I'll tell you that. That's about what we've been spending on fuel. And so RTS don't let that money sit in your account very long before they start taking what you spent the week before. But it is awesome because, I mean, look, when you spend $5,000 or $6,000 to start this up, I mean, and you need to shell out $1,500 in fuel to run a full week, that's a big deal. And if you don't have anybody to bankroll you, you got problems, maybe.
And we see the only people we see that don't get set up with a fuel card are people that want a cash back or rewards back for a credit card. And I'll be really honest with you, that's a losing proposition. The fuel card is always going to win out, and it's going to increase your business credit, which is a new business, is going to help you tremendously.
Yeah. Listen, I just want to thank you personally, man. You held my hand through the process of this when we first got started. I was rough around the edges. I know that, but it was because I just didn't know what to expect. It's a new business to me. And by talking to me, I'm the type of person that I don't want to be surprised by anything. I want to know it all.
Yeah.
And I can't know it all. And so sometimes when I get caught off guard with stuff or it's not what I expected or whatever, I get a little nervous. But the cool thing about this, and we talked about this earlier, but I wasn't recording, but the thing that I like about RTS, and again, I'm not telling you that you should factor with RTS. That is a decision you have to make, because RTS may decide that you're not who they want to factor with, and that's okay. But what I am saying is that the fact that the way that Luke has treated me has taught me that he's a person of character, and that's why I trust the company, because I trust you. And I was being a little difficult, and I was thinking about leaving, and I said, look, I'm going to leave. And Luke just said to me, well, I hate to see you go, and I will tell you that you're probably going to see the same problems everywhere. We're the only factoring company that's out hiring hundreds of people. There's a growing pains involved, and I want you to know that this setup process is probably going to take you 2 or 3 weeks to get rolling in another direction. And I just, hearing the things that he said, I just said, let me ask you, do you think I'm being unreasonable? And he said, yeah, I think you are. And I said, why? And he explained. And to me, that's valuable. That's where I know that I've built a valuable relationship, is when somebody can tell me what I need to hear, but not what I want to hear, and not tell me something because I did $27,000 last month. And Luke, for the sake of being straightforward and brutally honest, was willing to let $27,000 walk out the door every month if that's what it took for me to understand that probably my expectations needed to be adjusted. And I appreciate that. And that's why I'm here. So,
well, thank you very much, James. I appreciate it. And like I said, like we've talked a bunch, whatever I can do to help, just let me know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, so Luke, are you comfortable giving your email address, or would you rather me just I'll probably do like a form that, I think we're going to build a landing page or something to where people can write you from a link or something.
Yeah.
But he won't big time you guys. He'll talk to you. I promise you. If he calls you, if you call him, he will talk to you.
I will.
You've been great about that.
My direct line is 615-614-5140. Come straight to me. I will answer. I'll get back to you, and love to see how we can help you out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Luke's awesome. If you need anything from him, just give him a shout. Tell him you saw the video, and look forward. We may have another conversation. I'm definitely going to do a video sort of walking through, manually showing how to use the RTS platform and stuff like that. But I appreciate you taking the time. I think these conversations will help demystify how the process works, and hopefully my aim is always just to help people have an easier time. I know that's what your goal is too. So if you guys find yourself in a way that you can work together with Luke, that'll be great. And if not, listen, we just appreciate the time, and thank you for your energy and giving us good information.
Thank you, James. Y'all have a great rest of the week.
Everybody, you too.